Hey, it's Jarrett, and I think it's time we rethink what we think about God. Have you ever thought about what you think of when you think of God? Like, what image comes to mind for you? I wonder if you'd be willing, even while watching this video, to close your eyes just for a second and just imagine the image that comes to mind when you think of God. What do you see when you think of God? My hunch is there's probably a beard involved, right? Some beautiful flowing hair, probably a robe. You ever wonder where that image actually comes from that a lot of us seem to share? See, if I have to blame anyone for that image of God, it would be Michelangelo. I mean, I don't have anything against him personally, per se. It's just that I think he's seriously messed with our image of God. His historic Sistine Chapel painting called The Creation of Adam is a beautiful portrayal of God reaching out of the glory of heaven to a half-hearted, fully nude, lounging Adam, right? God reaching out to his creation, that is a beautiful image. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is that God looks so old. His beard all white and flowing like some kind of tan Santa, his face weather-worn, one hand reaching out to Adam, the other hand reaching back for a glass of Metamucil. I mean, it's hard for us to imagine God, though, any other way. We obviously don't know what eternal looks like, so we try and fill in the blanks with the closest thing we have, which is essentially Grandpa God. The Bible doesn't always help in this department. Like in the Old Testament, the prophet Daniel refers to God again and again as the Ancient of Days. Beautiful, accurate name, but a name that nonetheless kind of brings to mind that sense of oldness. It's not hard to figure out how seeing God this way causes us to think of him like we do. We can easily imagine a God who's past his prime, over the hill, outdated, unconnected to the world in which we live. I mean, don't get me wrong, back in Bible times, like he was moving, active, out there, really making a name for himself. But these days, he just seems to, maybe he lost his edge, It's like he should be off playing shuffleboard somewhere at a retirement home in Florida. I mean, can a God that's as old as we imagine really have a grasp on what's going on in our world? Yes, of course, he created this world, but how could he possibly understand it? I mean, it's all just so complex. He comes from a much simpler time, a time before online streaming wars, before genetic engineering, before billionaires going up into space 5 minutes at a time. See, as long as your image of God is that of an old man, then our modern day struggles are something that he'll never understand. But the deeper truth, beyond our limited assumptions and projections of God, is that long before us, long before this world and anything in it, long before anything existed, there was God. That means before even our limited concept of time, there was God. There was never not God, and there will never be not God. If God really were limited to our understanding of time, then like all things in this universe, he would be aging, deteriorating, dying. He couldn't be the same today as he was yesterday or a million years ago for that matter, and he wouldn't be the same tomorrow as he is today. If he were subject to time, then he would be changed by time. But God is not bound by time. God is just as capable, just as powerful, just as engaged and interested and involved in our world and in your life today as he has been throughout history and beyond time as we know it. God is still moving in and around and among your everyday life, just as he always has and always will. God has as much love and interest in your life today as he did in the lives of Moses or Mary or Peter or your great aunt Bertie. Just simply put, God is not old or young. Those are labels. They're limitations that we use to try and make sense of God, but God doesn't need you to make sense of him. He isn't limited or defined by our wildest imagination or our locked-in logic. He is a boundless God. He is a God who cannot be shocked or caught by surprise by any part of your complex life. So maybe it's time we put to death the image of our grandpa God. Go ahead, it's okay. Say your respects, close the casket, and walk away. And embrace a God who is not dead, but more active and alive and engaged in your life and in this world than you could possibly ever understand or imagine. A God who is ever present, ever active, ever engaged, as ever before and as he ever will be. See, I think C.S. Lewis said it best when he said, I want God, not my idea of God. I want God, not my limited idea of God. And that's what I want. And my hunch is that's what you want too. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it or were encouraged by it, I hope you'll subscribe to Soul City's channel so that you never miss any of the resources that we release here. And I'd love for you to join us for one of our Sunday gatherings, either in person if you happen to be in Chicagoland, or right here online. You can find service times and all the other info you need on our website, linked in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you next time.